able to finally get the game working this past week. And I got some thoughts on it, man. It's I've never, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm talking about Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, one of the biggest games of the last couple of generations. It continues to just continue to sell, and they've released it on everything known to man. And I was pretty excited to jump into it, man. Because we've been in kind of like a slow period in terms of news and single player games for stuff that I was kind of interested in, and this is the first. Man, I think this is the first open world game I've played since it's been about 2 years, maybe 1 or 2 years since I've played like an open world game. So I was pretty excited to get into it, man. And barring the audio problems I've had, I've been having a blast playing the game, man. I will say the thing that's impressed me the most about the game, because I remember when this came out way back in 2011. I don't really have a good reason why I never checked it out. I think it was probably because I was so wrapped up in like first person shooters back then, and the whole Call of Duty wave and stuff. I was really deep off into that, and I think I didn't really leave time for myself to play a lot of the other games that came out back then. And even now, 13 years later, I'm actually just like really blown away by the scale of the game and the freedom of choice that it gives you, because you don't have any artificial barriers to where you can go after that initial intro to the game, like the initial, spoilers, whatever, the initial, dragon attack, and you get out of that village. The game's just like, hey, you can follow this stuff, but there's all the rest of the map you can go look at, which I think was pretty cool. You can literally walk from one end of the map to the other, which I think is, you don't get a lot of games doing that much anymore. And I think that's like, for me, it's that type of stuff is super important, because nowadays when it comes to games, especially like single player games, you get all these previews, you get 10-minute gameplay video, you get here's 10 great tips as soon as the game drops day one, because content creators and reviewers and stuff get early access to it. So you already have all this wealth of information and a guide in front of you. And I didn't realize it until I started, I guess really until I started back playing, open world games with Skyrim, that I really did miss the feeling of like discovery and not knowing what's around the next corner, because it takes away some of that joy for me personally. And I've spent so much time just enjoying the little time, because I think I'm maybe 5 or 6 hours into the game. Like I'm not anywhere close to being done with the game. And but I think that's really been the favorite thing for me. And if somebody has something that they need something done, or hey, can you go get this thing these bandits stole, or hey, I think I've heard about this over here. Yeah, because you can, like, I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, you can go ask, hey, have you heard any rumors or anything about anything going on in town? Hey, I'm new, the wind just blew me, I just blew in with the wind. And I think that's kind of interesting, because and that really gets me more excited to play StarField, because I feel like, especially from everything that Todd Howard and Bethesda have kind of talked about leading up to the game's release, that they're taking all the lessons that they've learned in their previous games and putting it into StarField. And I can't wait to play StarField. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going in completely blind. I'm not going to watch anyone else play the game for at least a month or two. I really just want to experience the game the way that, the developers intended, and I know mod scenes and stuff, I know there's some fantastic mods and stuff that are out there for the game. For me, I just want to kind of play it like how it released. And I'm mad at myself. Like, I was like, damn, man, like I could have played this back when I was in school. Like, so I remember a buddy of mine, I told you about him, Mario. We didn't hear from Mario for like 5 days, like after this game came out. Like his, family and friends were worried about the guy because nobody talked to him. And he literally took off work to play Skyrim for 5 days straight, and he barely slept. And, he was just like you, a very big Bethesda fan. And, that game I think was a moment, and I'm hoping, and I'm feeling like Starfield is going to be kind of like another moment for Bethesda, like one of those games you really don't want to miss. And you only get those games every so often. But I've been having a ball playing the game, man.